Hi, I'm Ty West, and you're watching Trailers from Hell, and we're going to be talking about American Movie. One of my favorite movies of all time, and perhaps the most inspirational documentary, or maybe one of the most inspirational movies as a filmmaker I can think of. It's also the end of an era of these 16mm verite. I guess it's technically not entirely a verite documentary, but it's in that vein. And I don't know if there's a huge difference between shooting digitally or shooting on film, but to me, there's a charm factor to it. And a lot of the most important documentaries to me, and the ones that have resonated the most with me, come from this era of these like low-budget 16mm documentaries. And they spent 2 years shooting this film and 2 years editing this film. And it's the kind of film that's, even when you hear Chris Smith talk, who's the director, when you hear him ask a question, it's almost charming because he's part of it, or when you see the boom dip in, it's almost exciting. And that's something that only exists in these type very personal, long-term commitment type documentaries. And I think if you're a filmmaker, not only is this movie amazingly entertaining, it is a very informative movie on what to do and maybe what not to do. So here we are with the first shots of the trailer being shots from Coven, the film within the film that Mark Borchardt, the subject of this documentary, is trying to make. Although it's not he's actually trying to make Northwestern, but then it ends up being about finishing Coven before doing that.
That was wicked, man.
What's actually great is when I moved to New York when I was 18, this movie came out, I think, right around the time. I might have been in New York for a year. And I was very excited because I bought a VHS copy of Coven and supported the cause. And then I went one step further years later and actually cast Mark in a movie that I made. And sadly, that movie ended up turning into like a big Alan Smithy type debacle for me. But in a way, it's also maybe appropriate that if you've seen this movie and the fact that I went and got Mark, like only something chaotic could happen. But that week in North Carolina with Mark Borchardt was really great because it's rare that you get to cast someone who's, an actual subject of a documentary, and it was a pleasure spending time with him.
Hey, Mike, make sure everyone has brown gloves.
Does everyone have brown gloves?
Oh, dude. I'm broke, man. I gotta get gas tomorrow. And dude's talking about making a feature film.
I think if you're a filmmaker, this movie's great because it really exemplifies how this sort of Murphy's Law of whatever can go wrong will go wrong with movies. It's amazing how doing normal things in life just go effortlessly, and then as soon as you bring a camera out, everything falls apart. And this captures that, I think, really perfectly. And they're also, Chris Smith is really, I don't want to say lucky because that sounds like he's not a big part of it, but finding Mark Borchardt is sort of like the holy grail of documentaries, and the fact that he's making these movies and what he's trying to accomplish with them is very admirable as both a filmmaker or an artist in general. It's also a movie that I bond with a lot of people over. It's the kind of movie, if you haven't seen it, I will then give you my DVD and force you to see it. And it's the kind of movie that if someone else has seen it, it's endlessly quotable, and there's something really satisfying about it being quotable and it being real.
What are you talking about, Ma? Check it out when you look at the scarecrows. You get it?
What's great about this actual scene is that he's saying, do you get it with the wah? And then when you see Coven, it's wah, and it's exactly what he's saying. That's kind of the perfect storyline for a director.
American dreams, and you won't walk away depressed after seeing this. This whole thing is turning into a theatrical mockery. You understand that, Mike?
No.
Well, you will. Would you buy this movie for $14.95?
Hell yeah, man.
If I can find 3,000 people like you across this country, man, I'm in business.
It's a pretty special movie. I think that it's one that everyone should really go out of their way to see.